Huge Arsenal update, ladies and gentlemen. Today, Arsenal news today. We're going to tell you all the news so you don't have to go look up everything. You don't have to go look for it. You don't have to go hunt for it. This whole Arsenal transfer window, Eagle Talks Football is going to be the home of Arsenal transfer news. And I'll also be speaking about some of the other things going around Arsenal and everything going around world football very, very soon. We might even talk about the Euros and all that stuff, but that's later down the line. On a weekly basis, on maybe even a daily basis, whatever's going around Arsenal, this is going to be your home for it. So you don't have to go any further. Make sure you do subscribe, hit that like button, hit that notification bell so you don't miss anything going around with Arsenal and all the latest updates. We got Gunner Sulz in the building today. How you doing, Gunner Sulz?
I'm good. It's transfer season. This is going to be an exciting one as well because it's the final pieces. This is the juggernaut season. So let's go. I'm actually buzzing. There's some news that's come out. I am excited about. So
there you go. And yeah, so before we go any further, don't forget to check out the title sponsor on today's video, which is none other than SofaScore. The link will be in the description to go and download that link to the SofaScore app. And yeah, let's get the show started. Bang. Yes. So, Gunner Sulz, just to let you know, are you informed on everything going on lately, or do I need to update you on all the things going on?
I know some things, but it's better for you to tell me. There are some news that I have kept up to date with, but there's probably things I've missed.
Okay, so we're going to get started with the major news first, obviously. There is a big report coming out from Fabrizio Romano that the man himself, Thomas Partey, looks like he will be headed out of the club very, very soon. Yes, Thomas Partey is reportedly going to be leaving Arsenal Football Club. Reports came out from Fabrizio Romano that Thomas Partey, the party is over. Arsenal want to sell Thomas Partey. Yes, Arsenal want to sell Thomas Partey. Fabrizio Romano has confirmed that Thomas Partey will leave the club this summer. The Ghanaian, the 31-year-old, has just turned 31 actually, and is open to sell him this transfer window. 31, the 30-year-old, he's 31. 31-year-old will be potentially leaving the club this summer ahead of the following season, which is where his contract runs out. We are open to sign other midfielders because we'll now, with Thomas Partey leaving and Jorginho signing a new contract, we will be short midfielders as we won't have Elneny or himself, and maybe even some more being sold in the upcoming window. Since his time at Arsenal, he has missed a lot of games due to injury, but arguably he's been one of our best midfielders. And clubs like Juventus, Napoli, teams in Turkey like Istanbul, and also even Saudi Arabian clubs have been sniffing around to see how much he would cost. At this moment in time, they haven't given us a figure on how much Thomas Partey would cost. I wouldn't be surprised if it was quite small compared to how highly he's rated. There are some potential replacements being sniffed around and spoken about, like Zubimendi, who we've spoken about for couple transfer windows now, but I don't know if that's likely, as he might have his eyes set on Real Madrid. And the next man that we're going to be speaking about in this video, Bruno Guimarães, is also another guy who we've been looking at. But really and truly, the cheaper would be the Zubimendi deal, but I don't know how he would acclimatize to English football. So I do think Arsenal might go for a person who's more Premier League proven. But Edu and the people at Arsenal are going to have to find a way to replace a Stonewall, somebody who has been consistently one of our best players in the team, in Thomas Partey, for the past couple of years. This last year, he was a little bit forgotten, but he's still a key part to this Arsenal team. So yeah, as you guys know, Fabrizio Romano was the first one to report it, and this was reported a couple weeks back. So the big domino that's going to drop is it's official. Thomas Partey will be leaving Arsenal at some point this summer. We just don't know to who and for how much yet. That is the first domino. How you feeling? And big up everyone in the comment section. Sorry about the background noise. Wifey's just cooking. She has to make some food for herself, of course. But yeah, go ahead, Sulz. What do you got to say?
I mean, the Thomas Partey one has been kind of a controversial one within the fan base. A lot of people are wanting him to go for many reasons, some being footballing reasons or availability reasons, should we say, more than anything, and some obviously off-pitch reasons, which we won't mention. But for me, I'm going to focus it all on football. Off the pitch stuff, I'm not too clued up on. I don't have the evidence. I don't know what's actually happened. Obviously, I'm aware of the allegations, but in terms of what's actually gone on, I'm not 100% sure. He has featured in the team, so that means Arsenal do have a sufficient level of evidence to say those allegations are probably false. We don't know. I don't want to comment too much on that, but when it comes to players' availability, that's been a big concern, throughout the fan base, let alone we don't know what Arsenal are thinking behind the scenes in terms of his injury record, whether his injuries are going to aggravate further, or whether it's just a case of the pace of the Premier League is going to continue hampering him with the injuries, and that he may be like a Saudi Arabia or a Syria.
Let me just show you this right here. The celebrations from some of the fans on Thomas Partey potentially leaving is crazy. You got people with Kobe Bryant celebrations, people going nuts. People are so happy that he's being sold. I personally noticed how triggering and how divisive he is when I did a reaction video to his performance versus Manchester United when we won 1-0 at Old Trafford. Bro, when I tell you, I had people telling me they're unfollowing me. They think I'm picking sides, or I'm being racist because I'm like, how am I being racist when I'm black? And it was just mad. There's so many things that people are saying to me about Thomas Partey and being negative about Partey. But when I'm negative about when I'm critical about other players, I don't see the same level of cult mentality. I think it's a lot of I don't want to say it, but it's like people backing their own people. You know what I mean? That's what I find.
Do you know what it is? It's obviously what's happened is, obviously, we've got to take it as it is, right? We've got to take the entire scenario as it is. Like, we know there's allegations against him. We don't know whether they're proven to be true or not. And if people are going to celebrate, cool, that's your prerogative. You've clearly seen the situation for what it is.
Sorry.
Some people, no, it's all right. Some people, are going to see it as, like, for me, I'm just going to focus on the footballing reasons. Off the pitch stuff, I'm not 100% clued up on. I'm more than happy to learn if people have got articles or like actual evidence that they can present to me. But when it comes to the actual player, you've got to understand a few things, that his injuries are being worsened every single season. This is probably the first season where we've been able to keep him out of the team, potentially to fully recover. We don't actually know what the intentions are. Or was it Arsenal kind of saying, let's see how far we can go without bringing him in? Can we survive without Thomas Partey, or do we need Thomas Partey? And they've clearly seen that actually the progression has been fine. We've just missed out on the Premier League with or without Partey. So do we need him as much as we thought? And actually, is it better for us to sell him? Because if he then does aggravate his injury, or if the pace of the Premier League is not allowing him to stay fit, then we need to bring in someone. And the only way we can bring someone in is if we make the available squad space. And we can't have like 4 defensive style midfielders or, DMs or sixes that play in a similar way. Like Jorginho, granted, has parts of Partey. Rice has the other part of Partey. And when you have those kinds of players, you don't want 3, 4, 5 just stacked in your squad. Because we do have, don't forget, a registration period. We have certain players we can register as well for each competition. And they're probably looking at it and going, at the moment, the opportunity in the market for like a Bruno Guimarães, let's say Amadou Onana is another player that's being linked. Fofana is a player that we've admired in the past. Zubimendi is another player we've admired. There is options, and that's what we're probably looking at. And his age is also another factor, just like it's mentioned here. Like,
it's not only his age,
his 1 year left,
and his lack of fitness and availability. Guys, he's currently one of the top earners at Arsenal. He has not played on the level of some of the top earners at Arsenal this season. And also, when he's available and he's fit, there's no debating. He's a good player. But I do think he might not be as good as we've seen. We might have seen his best I don't have enough evidence because he didn't play enough games to say he might be past it. But some of his performances were shaky, and he is somebody who, when he does get injured, it takes him a while to get back up to scratch. Right now, we're not as dependent on Thomas Partey as we were, and I think similar to how we moved away from Kieran Tierney, I think it's time that we move away from Thomas Partey. No disrespect to Thomas Partey, I love the player. Don't get me wrong. I'm not one of these ungrateful people who are just going to cuss him. I'm not doing that. I'm simply saying it is time to move on.
I
He's
also want to
31 years
clarify
old.
on both our points as well. It's not us saying the player isn't good, because a lot of people this season have said that to both of us. Like, oh, you guys want Partey gone. It's not we want Partey gone.
People think I have a Partey
yeah,
agenda.
it's not that we want Partey. By the way, to clarify, it's not we want Partey gone. It's more in the case of it's time to move on. It's the right time. You know, when we look at back in history of football, Pep's done this, you know, Fergie's done it, you know, many other decisive figures in football, they know when it's right to sell or move a player on. And that's what we need to start learning. It's not about being ruthless on the wrong players, but Thomas Partey's time at Arsenal is probably coming to an end. And if Arsenal feel like this is the time to move him on, then we say we trust Arteta, we trust Eddie, we trust this person, we trust that person. Then if the case of a decision to sell has come, we also need to trust them that they're making the right decision, because they know his body. He knows his body, and it's probably time to move to a slower league. That's probably all it is.
Yeah, we got 117 of you guys in the chat right now. Do me a favor, hit that like button. And while you guys are in the comments, don't feel free to engage with the comments and let us know what you think. We have one person here asking a very good question. By the way, Thomas Partey is 31, but with his age, I do think his game is more dependent on his athleticism and his physicality, where Jorginho, who's 33, I think he uses more of his brain and less of his physicality to get around. Like his physicality was never his strength. Mobility was never his thing. Similar to Granit Xhaka, there's certain players as they age, you can still get a tune out of them because that's not their main strength. Their main strength is their positioning, their awareness, their ability to be in the right place at the right time. Where Thomas Partey, you guys can talk about all the issues off the pitch and everything else. We're not going to do that. We're going to stick strictly on football. He's had some poor, shaky performances. Sulz, were you going to say something? You're on mute, bro. You're on mute. I can't hear you.
Sorry. Yeah, Jorginho's more willing to be a squad player than Thomas Partey is. Thomas Partey still believes that he can be a starting player, granted, other than his injuries. So Jorginho's more professional in that manner. Obviously, we've not seen it with Thomas Partey yet, but I would assume that he'd want to be a starting player rather than someone who's going to come off the bench. Jorginho coming off the bench has proven to be more valuable than if we didn't start Partey. If Partey was coming off the bench, I don't think he makes the impact a Jorginho does. And that's just my observation.
Yeah, and there's a lot of things going around with Arsenal this window. So we're gonna hear about Thomas Partey leaving 100 times. We're gonna hear about links to price tags. Don't be surprised if his price tag is a lot lower than you guys expect it to be. Don't be surprised if his price tag is very low. Like I'm thinking 20, 25 mil. What are you saying?
I mean, it's going to be
1 year remaining.
Yeah, 1 year remaining. He's 31. I don't think
he can garner a 30, 40, maybe.
And he's not featured, I'd say 90% of the season. So
injuries are a risk, yeah.
Yeah. So I'd say, you know what? I did say I wanted. Yeah, I did say I wanted 40 million that we paid for him, but when I'm being realistic in the market that we're looking at, I'm gonna say I'd be happy with 25 to 30.
It would be great if Saudi just rolled up and gave us 50 million, but let's be honest, with the age that he's at and his contract being upwards of 200 million, I think, if I'm not mistaken, he gets 200 million, right?
200K. What? You said 200
million. 200K a week. How much does he get? 280, 250?
No, 200. I think it's 200K base.
200 and what?
200K, so 200,000.
200. I thought it was 180 or 200, one of those, but yeah, it's 200. If he's getting 200K a week, it's going to be tough to find somebody who's going to be able to match that wherever he goes next. So
plus do 50 million,
yeah, plus do the ridiculous price tag of 50, 60 million. Yeah, he's not. If he was 25 or something like that, it would be a different story. We wouldn't even be looking to sell him, but I think age, price, injuries all come into a factor. And at this moment in time, if we're going to be spending that type of money on a player, we want them to be at least available for us. Somebody here said 20 to 25 mil. I hear that. But you know what? People are going to then criticize Arsenal for player sales and say we should be getting more for that player. You know what? We're going to talk about player sales in a second and everybody else. Sell Partey and bring Bruno Guimarães. Big up to you for the super chat, bro. Kaka Cafu, 2 Brazilian legends right there in your name right there. I think if we were to be able to bring in Bruno Guimarães, it would be great. But we're going to talk about Bruno Guimarães in a second. I'll bring back that super chat in a second just to show you guys some of the conversations that are floating around. Bro, do you believe it? We're being linked to Olise. There's no way Olise goes to Arsenal and plays the potential backup. Or do you think if he comes to Arsenal, he starts?
No, so the Olise has got substance. I know people within the camps of both clubs who have actually confirmed that Olise is a player that's being spoken about. Man United have been, for Arsenal. The rumor isn't incorrect. United have definitely spoken about him for over a season now, and that's concrete. And they do want to bring him in. Now, when it comes to the player's ambitions in terms of wanting to start or being a backup, I don't really think that's going to be too big of an issue because we do want to compete on all fronts. We're in the Champions League. We do need to have sort of 2 players per kind of position, regardless of how good the player in front is. Granted, Olise is going to have to go for Bukayo Saka, but when we look at some of the reasons this season where Saka has had a bit of a drop-off in performance, Olise would be brilliant. And I know, Arsenal will need to give him some reassurances, but that team and that attacking lineup isn't as stable as people think. Martinelli's position can be taken. Olise can play in an 8 as well. Like, he's played a 10 role in the middle. So there are options for Olise to play in a different role at Arsenal. And with Arteta's sort of training and the ability to mold him, he can actually feature quite more than just being a backup for Saka. Because we don't look at a player for one position. We look at a player that can play multiple and be a bit more versatile or has the ability to be. Havertz has come in as a midfielder who's become an attacker who can also play in the midfield. So he has 2 positions. Trossard, we've done the same preseason. We played him in the 8. ESR is one of those. Odegaard's similar as well. So there's going to be some types where it's going to be harder for us to send him on the project because United are going to start him. Newcastle are going to start him. Liverpool's going to be an interesting one because we don't know what the situation with Salah is going to be. Is he going to leave? Because if he does leave, Olise becomes the star man.
Simply put, just looking at the comments, he will end up going to United, in my opinion. Chelsea, they have so many wingers, and they're such a mess. I think he would rather pick United. He is a United fan. And as Mancunian Way says, big up Martin in the chat, he says he won't come as a backup. To me, I don't think coming as a backup is not the thing. I just think, really and truly, I think Chelsea and Manchester United are more desperate for the player, and they'd probably fork up more money for him. Where Arsenal, they would view him as not as a priority at this moment in time. Even Newcastle could potentially come in for the player. And imagine him, Isaac, and Anthony Gordon. What a front 3 that would be. Him, Mateta, and Eze has been amazing at Crystal Palace also. Would Crystal Palace want to give him up for cheap? No. He has a 65 million release clause or something like that, if I'm not mistaken. So that is going to be a really good price. And this guy could be a French international. He could be an England international. Southgate should probably get him in as soon as possible before somebody else takes him. But yeah, I don't think Olise is going to happen, guys. Let's be honest. I keep it 100% real. If I'm going to give you my analysis, I think he's going to go to United or Chelsea or even Newcastle before he goes to Arsenal, simply because we're going to be looking at other priorities at this moment in time. Moving on from that, Souls, there's a lot of things that we need to cover today, so we're gonna try to move quick. We're gonna come back to the Bruno Guimarães news in a little while. Before we go there, did you hear about Arsenal made some sort of bid? I was like, what? We made a bid? Sometimes I just hear reports from certain outlets about bids and things, and I just don't know if I should believe it. But reportedly, I don't even know where this originally came from. But did you hear about this guy who plays for Feyenoord who we're interested in? How do you pronounce his name?
Your screen's not on, by the way, so I don't know.
I know. I'm gonna get it for you. Ferdy Kadioglu. You ever heard of him?
Oh, is he needed Fenerbahce, like fullback or something?
Yeah. So something about a bid. I heard something about a bid rejected. I'm trying to find a tweet on it as we speak, but apparently there was some sort of bid or something. I'm pretty sure it wasn't Arsenal that bid, but at the same time, this was 2 days ago. Reports came out from Turkey. As we know, the reports from Turkey are always a little bit mixed, but the reports are saying Arsenal made a 20 million pound bid for Fenerbahce's 24-year-old, and the bid was rejected, as they want an improved offer, which is 20 million plus 5 million in bonuses, total 25 million. There is no way that I am believing this, in my opinion, because why would they openly reject a 20 million pound bid that Arsenal made? We have no reports from any of the top Arsenal journalists that this bid was made. The report came straight from Turkey, and nobody's speaking about it over here in England except for this report from Turkey. It smells fishy. It doesn't smell like something that's real, because if any of us would have heard about it by now, if Arsenal actually made a 20 million pound bid for the Fenerbahce fullback. So to me, this sounds like agent talk, or somebody from that side trying to put out a story to make it seem like the player is more wanted than he actually is. I don't believe it. I just think this is one of those situations where you put the bait out there for people to start believing things. But yeah, he could be a really good player, but I just don't believe this source and this story. That it came from a Turkish newspaper.
I mean, no one that I know that's quite reputable has reported anything. I'm not aware of the player. I don't know the player well enough to kind of comment on his qualities or whether that's someone that we would look into. But from like people that I know who've got connections at the club, I've not heard anything. I don't know how true it is. Like you said, it could just be a case of that's his price and they're wanting to link a club to him because we've shown interest in the past in a player like this. They probably just used our name, just a bit like Douglas Luiz. Douglas Luiz gets linked to us, even though he's on his way to Spurs. So I don't know. I can't comment too much on this one.
Yeah. So this is the newspaper who did it is like the equivalent to like the Daily Star or the Daily Express in Turkey. So they're like a tabloid newspaper. So I really doesn't sound legit, but he is a quality player. People saying I'm Turkish. I've watched him a lot. He's quality. He plays left back. Yeah, I know he's a left back. I knew he was a fullback. I just forgot which position. You're just reminding me that he's a left back. So yeah, I think this is one of those ones where we can park it in the bank and say, we'll come back to this, because it reminds me of Tomiyasu. Remember, we were linked to Tomiyasu, and then it seemed like it went away. Nothing. We heard nothing about it, and then out of nowhere we signed him at the end of the window. So let's see, and we'll come back to this one if there's more news on that in the coming days or coming weeks. So at this moment in time, we are linked to him, and apparently there was a bid rejected, but I'm kind of skeptical over the legitimacy of that right there. Before we go any further and we go into the Bruno Guimarães conversation or anything like that, there's also been a Benjamin Sesko update. Apparently, Benjamin Sesko has made it clear that he wants his future sorted out. I think he said before the window or something like that. Something before the Euros. Is Slovenia playing in the Euros? Are they in the Euros?
I'm pretty sure I've seen them. I think they're in the same group as Spain.
Is it?
I'm pretty sure, if I'm not mistaken. I'll check it now, though.
So yeah, Manchester United blow as. So they keep doing this. One day they're saying Manchester United have a blow because Arsenal are in the lead to secure the signing, and then the next day they're saying somebody else. I really don't think anybody knows what's going on with the Benjamin Sesko thing. But the most recent thing is the Arsenal hierarchy feel like he could be their own Erling Haaland, comparing him to Erling Haaland. Team News Talk speaking about this. Some people saying they're confident about. Some people saying they're confident about him potentially joining Arsenal. I just don't see enough concrete stuff yet to make me confident about the signing of Benjamin Sesko. At this moment in time, it feels like a lot of links. Gunner Sulz, I don't know about you, but a lot of the news around him seems like, there's links, but I've not seen anything concrete. I see that the player is interested in a move outside of thing, but this is what the report's saying. Fabrizio Romano spoke about it, and I'm just going to show you guys what I'm talking about right here. Just 1 second. Let me get to it. So this is what the report was saying. So Benjamin Sesko latest. The RB Leipzig Benjamin Sesko is deciding his future before the start of the Euros. Both Arsenal and Chelsea are strongly linked to Sesko, and his agent has confirmed he will make his decision within the 3 weeks. So from 3 weeks from now, he's going to make his decision. And this also stating that the striker will either sign a new contract at Leipzig or leave the club in the summer. So there is a potential possibility where he signs a new contract and he stays, right? Reports that the Gunners are the front runners for the Slovenian international. However, the 20-year-old agent has been spotted at Old Trafford a few weeks ago. So 1, he could sign a new contract. 2, he could end up at Arsenal. 3, he could end up at Old Trafford. To me, it sounds like nobody knows what the hell's going to happen. It just sounds like a lot of speculation. And at this moment in time, I'm not going to go and put my bank on that he's guaranteed leaving or he's guaranteed staying. I just think it just sounds like at this moment in time, they don't know what they're going to do, what's going to happen with Benjamin Sesko. And the latest update on Benjamin Sesko is literally anything can happen. Guys, don't read too much into this. Don't think this means he's guaranteed going to sign for Arsenal or guaranteed going to sign for Manchester United or guaranteed going to sign a new contract. To me, it just sounds like he's leaving all his options open, and nobody wants to brief anybody on anything because they don't have any concrete agreements with anybody in place. But yeah, Sulz, what do you got to say on this?
So Arsenal have spoken to RB Leipzig, that I know, and they have inquired about Benjamin Sesko. But the problem that we have is, because of the way that Kai Havertz has performed at the end of the season, they're now moving their priorities away from a striker. They're looking at more bringing in a bigger midfielder. They're looking to bring more midfielders in than attackers. Now, whether the Benjamin Sesko happens or not, it's going to be an intriguing one, because it's going to be not necessarily moving away from the transfer plan, but something that has to be an opportunity. And the problem that we have is that Chelsea are also interested in the same player, and they kind of want Sesko as a priority as well, because they want a goal scorer. And the problem that we have is that Chelsea, even though RB Leipzig are happy to accept a €65 million bid, the issue that you have is Chelsea may bid more just to secure the player. And that's where Arsenal may walk away, because they have a bottom line. They have other options that they can go for, but they're also looking at potentially bringing in more of a winger than they are bringing in a striker. So it's going to be an interesting one to see what we do, but I don't think many people actually know. And usually what happens with Arsenal transfers, the louder the rumor, the less true it is.
And you know what? Big up to everyone who's watching right now. We got over 226 of you guys. Do me a favor. Only 60 of you guys have liked the video. Big up to the 60 people who have liked the video. But we need more of you guys to like the video to help support the channel. And don't forget, this is your home for Arsenal transfer news. We'll give you guys all the updates as much as we can as the news comes in throughout the season, throughout the summer transfer window. But yeah, let's go on to the next thing. Somebody was asking about Paqueta. Guys, we're not really going to spend too much time on Paqueta, but Gunner Sulz, if you haven't heard, Paqueta his career could potentially be done, bro. His career could potentially be done. Like, reports coming out that Paqueta could be looking at 10 years in football if found guilty. I'm not going to lie to you guys. That means one of Man City's number one targets is off the table. Just makes it more likely that they try to go in for Bruno Guimarães. And as you can see, Martin is in the chat and he's all over the Bruno Guimarães links, as he sent me some message about Ben Jacobs. We're going to take a look at that in a second. But quickly, if Paqueta is found guilty, his career is finished, and I feel sorry for him. I feel sorry for West Ham. And what would have caused a professional footballer to do something like this just makes no sense to me. And the reason why this is a heftier punishment than racial stuff or all these other things is because of all the implications that it has with gambling, in addition to cheating, in addition to impacting the game and changing the game directly. Where as much as we know saying racist things or saying things that are inflammatory have a negative connotation to society, it doesn't have as much impact across all these different genres financially and all these different things, because it's the moment you start affecting people's money and the moment you start changing things and you basically are match fixing, that's where they draw the line. And this is under the same category as that almost. But yeah, talk to me.
Yeah, so I mean, just quickly to put on the Paqueta thing, what people need to understand, the differences between what Tonali and Tony did to what Lucas Paqueta did is allegedly Paqueta has match fixed for his own betting and his own scenarios. It is quite damning when you look at the evidence that even people have been able to pull up on the deliberate yellow cards that he's managed to pick up. You know, there's, I think, 4 or 5 matches that they're going to be looking into, and the yellow cards there do look more deliberate, and that's what they're going to be looking into more, is his own like yellow cards. It's not a case of he's just betting on the sport itself. And that's the difference when you come to Tonali. Tonali had overall bets on the games, not necessarily his own performances or his own bets. And Tony was the same. And again, I'm going to say all allegedly because this is going through a case at the moment. So there is an investigation happening into. And that's the reason why people are looking at a 10-year ban. Or even in the NBA, I believe there was a player who had a lifetime ban. He's no longer allowed to compete in sport again.
Yeah, he's a Raptors player.
yeah. So it is quite a serious part of it. It's not a case of you're just betting. It's a case of people betting on you and you're making that result happen. So that's just to clarify the differences there.
But so yeah, we are linked to a lot of strikers at this moment in time. And before we go into the striker market, pick up to everyone in the comment section. I could see Brian, Bobby. I'm not really convinced by him. People talking about Kudus. They might need to give Kudus a new contract based on everything that's going on. Bruno Guimarães, Kimmich. I don't think Kimmich is coming to Arsenal. Let's be honest. If he was, we would have heard more news about Kimmich. I think Kimmich goes to Barcelona. Guys, Bayern and Barcelona are like this. Every free transfer goes to Barcelona. Kimmich in a Barcelona shirt just makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's simple. These things happen. Remember, you heard it here first. Kimmich is going to end up at Barcelona. Before we talk about the Bukayo Saka disrespect, because I think I'm going to have to clip this whole section up and redo it when we talk about Bukayo Saka. But we're going to quickly talk about the striker situation. These 3 have been linked to Arsenal. So Benjamin Sesko, what do you call it? Alexander Isak and Brian Bobby. First of all, Alexander Isak is my number one, and I think he would be most people's number ones, if I'm not mistaken. Number 2, Benjamin Sesko. Number 3 would be Brian Bobby. I'm not convinced by Brian Bobby. I have not seen enough of him. I can admit that, but from the little that I've seen, it just does not sound like. It sounds like such a pivot. It just doesn't make sense. Like, we haven't heard much links to him. Sulz, do you know much about him? I haven't heard too much about the Ajax forward being linked to Arsenal. 22 years old. He scored 18 goals in 2 back-to-back really good campaigns where he's played as the first team striker for Ajax. But yeah, underperforming Ajax at this moment in time. And the 22-year-old, yeah, he scored 13 goals and 18 goals back-to-back season in the Eredivisie. But are you convinced? I'm not. I don't think that's the level raiser that we need.
I didn't even know who he was until today. I don't watch the Eredivisie at all. He's not a player that pops up on my radar.
Bro, the money they're talking about for him too, it just don't make sense. If I'm not mistaken, they're talking about 80 million euros. They're having a laugh, right?
I mean, I like I said, I don't know. He might be good. He might not be. I couldn't comment. He might be worth 80 million. I don't know. It's not one I can comment on.
All right, fair enough. We keep it moving. We stay on the striker topic. There is this report though. This report is saying that Arsenal. Listen to this, Sulz. Arsenal are in the search for a striker, of course, right? Arsenal are looking to sign an elite center forward before their summer preseason tour. Very ambitious, don't you think?
Not really.
Don't you think it's going to be difficult to get a signing of that level over the line before the preseason tour?
No, absolutely not, because if we look at the striker market is very limited to what options are going to be available. And what you got to understand, transfers happen before the window opens. So a lot of the discussions in terms of how much a player is going to cost and what the demands of a team is are already discussed. They already know what the conditions that need to be met. Like, we know Benjamin Sesko is around the 65 million euro mark. We know that Isak is probably the most ambiguous transfer fee, just because Newcastle don't really want to sell him. He's signing a new contract, so he's going to be worth up to hundreds of million, like over 100 million. You're talking 150 million to get Isak. So we already know what the demands of a lot of these teams are. It's just a matter of how we structure it. It's similar to Declan Rice. Declan Rice was quite a swift move because we kind of knew what the demands were. It was just a case of West Ham wanted a payment structure that Arsenal weren't agreeing to, and then they came into a middle ground. So I do believe it can be done. It just depends on whether we know who we actually want.
Next, we got, according to the Independent, Newcastle star Alexander Isak, Ajax ace Brian Bobby are top of the Gunners. Transfer list. Isak was the preferred option, but Maggies are likely to refute letting arguably their best player leave for a Premier League foe. The Toons hope the Swedish international puts pen to paper on a new contract as they're building a project around him. The North Londoners can get the 24-year-old Bobby, but would be most likely an option. What would be most likely the next likely option would be Victor Gyökeres, who's in position as a third alternative. It's funny how Victor Gyökeres was linked to us as the number one option a couple of weeks ago, and now he's like a third option. Personally, I don't think anybody knows who Arsenal is going to sign. They're constantly, these are agent links, it seems to me. And Arsenal have scouts, as every club does, in many different areas. And I don't think the picture is going to be clear for who we're going to want to sign until we actually start making some serious bids. And even when we do make bids, you never know. Some of them could be smokescreen bids. We've seen it before. We've seen us make bids for players that we didn't even have any intentions of signing.
I think people need to understand the basics of negotiations. If you're putting all your eggs in one basket, the club's going to understand this and they're going to want a higher fee because you're wanting a certain player. Look at Declan Rice. We didn't really want to pivot away from him, and we had to pay £105 million. If, let's say, for example, Declan Rice wasn't Declan Rice and we could go in and we could bid and the circumstances were different, we may have got him for £85 million that we wanted to pay initially. But because of the kind of player he is, West Ham knew that there isn't really anywhere you can pivot to. Whereas when you're looking at the likes of Gyökeres, you're looking at Sesko, you're looking at, even if you want to take Isak into this picture and many other strikers that are out there like Osimhen, Arsenal need to cast a wide net so that they don't get screwed over in the transfer fee and that and they pay what they want to pay.
You okay there?
Yeah.
Wow. You okay, bro?
Sorry, I needed to cough. But yeah, so we needed to cast a wider net so that we can basically say, look, we're not just in it for Sesko, we're not just in it for Gyökeres, so that if they then sit there and go, look, your £65 million bid, let's just say that's what we bid, is unreasonable, we can just go, all right, then we're going elsewhere. That's going to make them want to accept our bid. That's what people need to understand. Transfers need to be this way. The only time that this can't happen is your very unique players. Like Real Madrid can't negotiate Mbappe because Mbappe is Mbappe. You're not going to get another Mbappe. So unless
and people who actually believe Speed when he says he's going to Arsenal, take it.
That's not why I mentioned it, but.
No, but people actually believe Speed. Guys, if you're taking your transfer news from Speed, you need help. I'm sorry. You need help. Listen, I'm laughing at the fact that people think Arsenal don't have money this window. Like, did you see this picture, by the way? Kai Havertz posted him and Odegaard on vacation together.
This is sick.
This is a great meme. I think it could use against us and for us. So I like these kind of memes. But before we go any further, I just want to tell people, stop worrying about Arsenal's money. We're good. Financially, we are good. And when I say we're good, I mean we're probably in one of the best situations this club has been in decades. Financially, the team is good. The players have way overseeded the price tag that we paid for them originally. And I'm talking about the first team players like the William Salibas, the Gabriel Magalhães of the world, the Martin Odegaards, the what do you call it? Bukayo Saka was a free because he was an academy player. In addition to that, the club made a record 260 what is it? 64 or 60 sorry, 265 million. No, 200, 265 million, guys. Arsenal Football Club has made in earnings this past season. And let me show you guys the evidence. Here's the evidence. So in the Premier League, we made 174, which is the club record. And we've also made in the Champions League 91 million this past season in earnings in the Champions League to get into quarterfinals. So all that hate watching everyone was doing, has just gotten Arsenal more money for the transfer window. You know, when people are hate watching us against Porto, big money for us. People hate watching us every time we play against teams, hoping that we lose, benefits massively. Massive benefits.
I think on top of that, what people need to understand is the commercial work that's being done by Vinay in terms of the deals that we've done in Dubai, the deals that we're doing with the likes of Prime, for example. These are commercial juggernauts that we've managed to secure for big money. And not only are we like securing those, like the off like even all of these kit collaborations that we're doing is securing the club more money. And like commercially, we've become driven so much that it's going to allow us to propel and become self-sufficient. Now, another thing that I wanted to mention on this as well is when you look at the FFP cycle, the 3-year cycle that you need to submit for, and that you can actually, you can overspend by a certain amount, has reset this summer. So we're back to being compliant to FFP, and we can actually kind of overspend in a way, as long as we don't breach the 90 million from our earnings. So we're good, we're Gucci, we're good. And also our wage bills dropped by like 15-20 million a season. So we're dramatically cutting costs, and we're earning more money. And it's only going to propel to a more successful window.
I don't know what he's talking about, but sustainability, that's a completely different thing. Our wages, yes, our wages are sustainable, and we've reduced our wage bill, but it's also about the money that we've earned this season. As a club, we've done really well. Even though we actually have a lesser wage bill than we did when we had Ozil and those guys, based on the money that
wages aren't a problem anymore. We're actually the issue that we had before was we were in the Europa League with Champions League wages.
We were spending more than 60% of our money on wages.
Yeah. So
now we spend less than 40.
No, that's the issue. Like we were a Europa League teams with Champions League wages. Now we're a Champions League team with kind of a hybrid Europa Champions League wages. So we're Gucci, man. We're not worried.
Let's play a game. Quick game. Guys, player sales. How much can we get for Ramsdale?
About what they said, about 45-50 million. We can easily get that.
45? How much do we get for Eddie Nketiah?
About 20 million.
They're saying 30. ESR?
Actually, yeah, Eddie Nketiah 30 million and 30 million for ESR, because we've already got that bid for 60 million.
Okay. Nelson?
15-20.
They're saying 20. Free for him. How much for Tavares?
About 10 million.
You're ambitious. Tierney?
About the same, 10-15.
And then there's a whole article on Lokonga.
Lokonga's a difficult one because he had quite a decent spell at Luton. We could probably recoup our money, 15-20 million for him.
Reportedly, there's a lot of clubs that might be interested in him. There's a lot of clubs
That's
that might be interested.
Like, it's a hard one to comment Lokonga because people.
I seen this article here, and I'm just going to read it to you guys. This is from the Ars blog, where he said Lokonga is expecting Arsenal exit after recent decision. So Lokonga has confirmed by his agent that he's been tasked with finding him a new club after Arsenal confirmed his superb requirements. Where he surplus his requirements at the Emirates. Interesting. So they basically told him go find another club. Maybe he can go to Bayern Munich now that Vincent Kompany's there. The Belgian international 24-year-old has some suitors in the Premier League. Luton Town, of course, got relegated, so it's unlikely he's going to go down with them. He previously played at Anderlecht, where he's gotten glowing remarks from Vincent Kompany. While flourishing in the first half of this season, where he debuted. Are they talking about when did he flourish? I'm confused. While he showed flashes and promises in his first half debut season, he lost his momentum after Christmas, where never seemed to have recovered. Arteta allowed him to join the Crystal Palace on loan in January, despite Elneny suffering a season-ending injury. He struggled, and of course, he never really got much game time under Patrick Vieira and Roy Hodgson. We recently recruited Jorginho and Declan Rice, which made his path less clear, and it blocked him from getting more game time. The Liverpool manager recently bigged him up, obviously, and then they just speak about some other things. But long story short, Arsenal paid 17 million pounds for him, 17.5 million pounds plus add-ons, which they're never going to probably get. Overall, when you think about it, we could probably get our money back.
That's what I'm thinking. About 20 million. We could probably get. So I think his loan spell at Luton's definitely helps us because he has thrived in that sort of smaller team, being a bigger player in that.
Oh, but that loan spell has also deceived a lot of people.
Why?
Because it made people think, you know what, maybe there's a player in there. Maybe he can come back to Arsenal and do something.
Oh, no. I don't think he's been that good. Like, if I'm being honest as well. Like, he's thrived for that level. He's thrived to be that kind of Crystal Palace or like a Bournemouth or a, them kind of teams. I feel like that's his level in the Premier League anyway.
Yeah, but it is interesting that they've told him straight up, you've surplus requirements, have yourself a good one. I'll catch you guys soon.
Yeah. I mean, like the article said, I kind of agree. I think he had a good start to his sort of Arsenal campaign. I think he had good moments there, but when he became like a consistent start, it's a bit like Eddie Nketiah, really. Like Eddie Nketiah has good moments when he gets like a game here and there. Whereas when you want him to be your consistent starter, that's when you kind of see the drop-offs and the inefficiencies or the kind of deficiencies within the player. Whereas with Lokonga, I'm starting to see that actually in a smaller team, he's better.
Yeah, the only reason why I said Bayern is because Vincent Kompany's at Bayern. Guys, we're not getting Diamond. Now that everyone's he's probably going to end up at Chelsea if Chelsea end up getting that manager. But yeah, we're not here to talk about Chelsea and Manchester United. Quickly, I need to talk about the Bukayo Saka disrespect has gotten too far, ladies and gentlemen. The Bukayo Saka disrespect has gone too far. And do me a favor, if you're watching this video right now, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you're watching this on the playback or you're watching this live, do me a favor, make sure you check out the full video as me and Gunner Sulz have gone in depth with everything. But we need to talk about this. Have you seen Michael Owen and what he said? Have you seen what Michael Owen said?
No.
Have you seen the disrespect that Bukayo Saka gets from certain people in the media? Michael Owen made his England perfect 11. He said his England 11 that he would start if he was Southgate for this upcoming Euros, right? And okay. I think I need to just play it for you because you're going to be in disbelief when you hear the 11. Like, to me, when I first heard it, I thought, you know what, maybe it's satire, maybe he's trolling, maybe he's not serious. By the way, your Champions League nights might be on Thursday next season. It's mental. But besides that, let's listen to what this guy said, because this guy is absolutely must be on drugs. Surely either he has some sort of bias towards Newcastle. He played for Newcastle, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he won the Ballon d'Or with them.
He likes Cole Palmer. He likes Phil Foden. But yeah, this right here, you guys got to hear this.
I'd say Kyle Walker at right back, Luke Shaw if he's fit at left back. I'd be John Stones, Harry Maguire at centre half, Declan Rice as a 6, Foden and Bellingham in front of him. I would then go, I've got to find a place for Cole Palmer. I'm going to put Cole Palmer as my right-sider.
First mistake right there. He's taking Bukayo Saka out of his natural position to put Cole Palmer in the right over Bukayo Saka, right?
It's not finished yet. He's not put Saka
and he's not even done yet.
Yeah,
he's not even done yet. He's already made a mistake there. I think taking Bukayo Saka out of the team where he's been one of England's best players. Don't forget, 2-time England player of the season. He's taking out for Cole Palmer. But let's continue.
I'm going to put Anthony Gordon as my left-sider. And I'm going to put Harry Kane up front.
So then immediately he realizes, obviously, he's trying to backtrack. Right away, he's trying to backtrack.
Obviously, you could switch. And, throughout the...
By the way, can the people in the chat hear what he's saying? Can you guys hear it?
Yeah, we can hear it.
Okay, please do let me know. And also make sure you do like the video. But yeah.
Tournament you could switch. So you can bring Saka in on the right, put Cole Palmer out on the left if you have to, or Foden onto the left and Cole Palmer back inside. I just have to find a place for Cole Palmer. I have to find a place for Phil Foden. And I really want pace on the left-hand side. They're sort of my, and I only want 1-6. So they're my wish. That's my wish list.
First of all, his smile, it just has to be satire. He must know that triggering Arsenal fans gets you views. Right now, I'm literally doing it right now. It's worked. It's worked. What his whole goal has worked. What he's wanted is to trigger us in a way where he gets views. And this is what they do. But they've gotten views out of me. But my opinion, they must be trolling. They must be trolling. They must be trolling. He must not be serious.
Yes. That team can change, will change, but I think it can only change 2 or 3 players. I mean, yeah, we're talking about 26-man squads or whatever now, but I personally, I'd only envisage Saka coming in a little bit. As I say, people will argue that Gordon shouldn't start, but I love the thought of having pace out there. So you could put him on the bench and, as I say, put a Foden and a Saka and a Bellingham and a Cole Palmer across that front 4. So yeah, I mean, there's lots of different opportunities and alternatives, but that's probably what I'd go with.
What do you have to say, bro?
I mean, it's Michael Owen. What did you expect? Like, there's certain. Do you know what it is, right? This is the thing that people need to understand. We're always going to be disrespected because our fans care too much. Like, why do you care what you have? Him, Michael Owen. Like, why do you care? Him. Like, I get it if it's like someone that's actually quite like a Michael Richards says it, I'd get triggered because I'm like, you know what? You're actually one of the better ones. But Michael Owen he's stupid. He's an idiot anyway. He's the worst commentator or like pundit I've ever seen on TV. Like, brother, like you could give a 5-year-old and do Michael Owen. It's fine. It's calm. It is what it is. Like, for me, I am triggered because when you look at it, Bukayo Saka has been England's best performing player in most of these tournaments alongside Harry Kane. Harry Kane's more goal contribution. When you look at the France team, right, who played who was the best player for France? Every single time Bukayo Saka comes off, England lose. So it is what it is. If you want to continue losing like they all do, because you know the problem with Michael Owen is, right, the man's bought her because he was part of the golden generation that couldn't deliver. And this team may deliver. And they may deliver because of Bukayo Saka. Let's get it straight. Bukayo Saka is the face of England, and he always will be. You can put Phil Foden's better for City. You can do he's better in the Premier League. But for England, Bukayo Saka is the man that's going to deliver. And that's the reality of it. Until people realize that, it is what it is, man.
You really believe Bukayo Saka is the face of England?
Yes. He's been the best performing English player in these English tournaments.
No. I get that. I get that. We all seen this. We all seen. What do you call it? The Player of the Years, England Player of the Years, back-to-back seasons. He performed at the Euros at like 19 years old. He performed at the World Cup last season at like 20 years old. He's been doing it for about 4 years now for England, and this is now his 3rd tournament he's going to be going into. I think he's a nailed-on starter. For these guys to be coming out and saying stuff like Bukayo Saka should be on the bench for Foden, or Bukayo Saka should be on the bench for Anthony Gordon, or for Cole Palmer. It's at this point it has to be satire. It can be their opinion, but they can't be serious.
Look.
They can't be serious.
Look, Southgate does stupid things. Don't get it twisted, but he's not that stupid. Like, personally, for like my Arsenal hat, I don't want Saka to play because I'd rather him go get whatever niggly injuries he's got sorted. But look, he is England's best player.
Yeah, Bukayo Saka is definitely England's best player. And for some of the things that these guys come out with, did you hear what Jamie Carragher said today? Jamie Carragher said, he said something like, Jude Bellingham plays for Real Madrid, but if I would compare anyone to Zidane, it's Foden. I'm not even. Sometimes I just don't. I just don't get the comparisons. I just don't get.
The thing is, right? It's harder to rate a player who hasn't delivered yet in terms of like trophies for his club than it is for a Foden who's in a world-class team that are winning before he joined the team, still winning. Foden isn't the reason City win. Saka will be the reason why Arsenal win. And that's what they can't bear. Because
to be fair, Foden this season was player of the season.
I have said that, by the way. I have said that he's delivered this season. But what I'm saying, he's delivered in a club that was already delivering. Whether Foden's there or not. Same with Cole Palmer. Whether Cole Palmer played for City or not, they were still going to win.
You know, I'm not even going down the race card or anything like that. I'm just simply saying I feel like people are quick to disrespect Saka or forget about how good he is.
Forget that. You know why it is? Arsenal play. Look at Benjamin White. Benjamin White is outright the best right back in the league this season.
I honestly don't care. That is beef, internal beef between them.
No. Forget them. Forget England. Forget those guys. I'm talking just general consensus that people have on Benjamin White, right? Is that he ain't that good. The guy has been the most consistent right back in the league this season, right? And he still doesn't get the credit. When it comes to Bukayo Saka, he performs. By the way, people said he had a poor season. And guess what? His numbers are the same. In a poor season. Imagine when this guy has an okay season.
By the way, I don't agree with you on that one. I do think the reason why they won the league this season is Foden. We were literally
No. Let me clarify it then, because clearly people don't listen. You got 2 ears, 1 mouth. Listen and then respond. I said prior to this season, Foden isn't the reason, and he won't be the reason why City win. This season, yes, he stepped up. This is his first season where he's become the reason they win. But what I've said is City have already been winning. He's not the main reason they win. People also said it when Rodri's not in the team. They don't say when Foden isn't in the team. They say when KDB isn't in the team. Let's be real about it as well. But if I said to every single, I'll take it out of Arsenal. Let's go to rivals. Let's say we had to go a season without Bukayo Saka. Do we win the league?
No.
I can ask that to rivals. I can ask that to any player, without Bukayo Saka. Let's say we take him out of this team this season. Do we win the league? No. But take Phil Foden out. Do they win the league? Yes. There's still a yes.
You know another funny thing? All these clubs are now looking for their Bukayo Saka, their youngster that can lead them, their Phil Foden, you know what I mean? And they're also all looking for their Mikel Arteta. Did you see what Chelsea's requirements for their manager is? By the way, big up to everyone watching. Do me a favor, do hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. And also, we're kind of done on that section, but I do feel like the Bukayo Saka disrespect is kind of crazy. But we're going to talk about Bruno Guimarães in a second. But before we do that, did you see this? Everyone's looking for their Arteta, it seems. You got the requirements needing play possession-based football, must be cognitive and collaborative, comfortable dealing with the media and spotlight, ready to go head-to-head with Pep Guardiola and Arteta. Of course, will fit into the club structure. To me, this is sounding like they want their own version of Mikel Arteta. Am I tripping?
Must fit into play possession football. Must be. I don't even know if that is actually their requirements, but if it is, cool. Like, ready to go. I mean, you have to go head to head with the best 2 clubs at the time. Like Liverpool are in there as well, but obviously Klopp has left, so we don't know what Arne Slot's going to do. So I get it why Arteta and Guardiola are in
Bayern Munich with company.
Yeah,
it's a new era, bro. It's a new era.
But the company to Bayern is quite a funny one. I will be honest.
It's a new era of management, and it seems like Arsenal was a little bit ahead of the curve, going for a young up and coming manager. Now you have all these big clubs.
But do you know what it is, right? What people don't understand about Arteta is it's not even about his coaching or tactics ability. It's his ability to understand sports psychology. That's the main reason why we've been able to thrive as quick as we have. Even Pep Guardiola, as good as he is a tactician, he's also an elite sports psychologist. Like, whether they have the qualifications in this or not, that's what they understand. They understand, right, how to tune players into becoming winners. Arteta hasn't shown that yet. I'll openly admit that. But that's
Arteta's not trying to be Pep. Arteta's actually more Jose than he is Pep.
In what way would you say that, though?
Arteta's a lot more pragmatic and cares more about the opponent and analyzes the opponent to try to get their best out of the team than just focusing on their team continuously playing similar ways. Where I feel like Pep he doesn't really change his team based on the opponent as much. He more or less sets up his team to beat everybody in the same manner, where Arteta will identify things and psychoanalyze the opponent to the point where he'll play a certain way to get the best result. I don't see Pep ever going away at another club and taking punishments the way that Arteta's team would.
Yeah, but Pep wouldn't want to take a punishment either.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
I think his insanity is the same as Pep. Like
Maybe.
they are super, super insane. Like they are obsessed with football. That's why I say they're similar.
I'm talking about the means to get to an end. You're talking about their
no, because the reason why is Arteta and Pep are both managers that will do what it takes to win. Like if you look at Pep has evolutionized his own football, even at City. He went from the
people keep saying Arteta's a copycat of Pep. He will tell you he's learned a lot from Pep. Of course, he'll take all the good things from him.
Look, everyone's a copycat.
I really do believe this is just some banter phrase that people try to say.
If we're going down the rate of copycats, right? Guess what? Everyone's a copycat of Johan Cruyff.
Yeah.
Johan Cruyff, he was the pioneer of total football.
At the end of the day, when you're successful, people are going to copy it. Look at what happened with Antonio Conte. Three at the back was successful for the first time in years in the Premier League. Everyone was playing three at the back the following season. Am I wrong? Everyone was playing three at the back. The funny thing is, Arteta is actually before Pep. Arteta was the first one to play 4 center backs. Then Pep started doing it, but Pep gets all the credit,
which people don't understand because they don't believe we did it first. But we did. We did Tomiyasu, White, Saliba, Gabriel first. By the way,
yeah, it was against Liverpool in the league or something like that. But yeah, it's time to talk about Bruno Guimarães, ladies and gentlemen. It is time to talk about Bruno G. Now, my question to everyone in the comments is Bruno G the guy you want? Bruno G to Arsenal, yes or no? Is he the priority signing? I have a feeling he's not the priority. I have a feeling he's not the guy, the main man that Arsenal is trying to go for. I don't feel like it's Bruno G. But the reports came out today, and let's talk about it. So the reports are, I'm going to show you guys in a second before we go any further. So Team News Ticks was speaking about it on a podcast or on his Patreon, if I'm not mistaken. And Team News Ticks said that Arsenal are in pursuit for Bruno G. I was told with the last couple of days, there were some positive conversations. I'm not saying it's done, but it is anywhere close to done, but the club feel positive on it. That is one of the tweets that I seen today about the Bruno G to Arsenal links. Now, there is another tweet that I seen from a certain Ben Jacob, a friend of the show, of course, right? And hopefully I can get him on before the transfer window begins also. Ben Jacobs is a real one for coming on for last couple of seasons. But yeah, let's go to what Ben Jacobs said. Ben Jacobs said something on the contrary, though. He said that Man City are still exploring Bruno G and have made contact with the player. 100 million release clause is valid until the final week in June, as Fabrizio Romano has called. Arsenal are not planning to trigger the release clause, and they will only consider moving if the price is dropped. As reported numerous times, Arsenal are looking for around 80 million for Bruno G, not the pronounced 100 million price tag. Zubimendi remains more of a concrete possibility, although I have heard reports that Zubimendi is going to stay for one more year. And then Bruno Guimarães has given the indication that he's happy at Newcastle, but an exit can't be discounted due to the clause. PSG are out of the race for Bruno Guimarães, as they still want Bernardo Silva, Gavi, if those are possibilities. Barcelona view him as a future captain, but don't do engagement with any suitors. Okay, and PSG want a striker, midfielder, center back, but it would be an expensive, busy window if they tried to go for Bruno Guimarães. So at this moment in time, it seems like once again, a Premier League midfielder, it's going to come down to if he goes to Manchester City or if he goes to Arsenal. I'm just going to say my thing. I am not 100% sold on the possibility of Bruno G coming to Arsenal, based on the fact that I do think Man City, if they're serious, they're going to get him over us, simply because they've had interest in Paqueta. Paqueta is no longer on the table. They're going to want a Premier League proven midfielder. We've seen them do that before last season with 2 midfielders, and if they really want Bruno G, Man City, extra 20 million won't stop them from dropping that money to get him over the line. 100 million, I think it would be a good bar. It would be a good deal for anybody who gets him. But hey, I would take him. I do think he's going to end up at Man City. That's just me. Unlike Declan Rice, where I felt like we always had the edge over City, I think this Bruno G deal, especially with the fact that we could have signed him before he went to Newcastle, and he ended up going to Newcastle, and we kind of snubbed him, and we didn't really go in for him. He might look at that and say, you know what, I don't want these guys. They didn't want me then. I'm going to go to City. But yeah, talk to me, Souls. What are you saying?
Neither club's playing the release clause.
That's your first thoughts. Neither club.
Yeah, neither club will. I'm telling you this. Like, they won't pay the release clause.
Why?
I would say he's going to go for about 85 million, 80 to 85 million.
Why?
It's just a feeling I've got. Let's just leave it to that. But yeah, I am very confident neither will pay the release clause. And
we have heard Newcastle are willing to pay to take 80 million.
We'll leave it to that. But yeah, I don't think he's coming to Arsenal. Arsenal are going to be looking at Amadou Onana as well from Everton. We've got other options. We're not fixated on the Bruno Guimarães deal. We already know that if Man City are serious about him, they're probably going to get him over us. But in terms of us wanting him, yes, there's a concrete interest in Bruno G. We're not denying it. But yeah, like you said, Man City are probably going to be favourites to securing him, especially with the Lucas Paqueta situation, let's say. But yeah, I think he goes for 80 million. I think people are going to wait for that release clause to expire, and Man City are just going to trigger an 80 million deal.
Let me know, everyone, in the comment section, what you guys think about Bruno Guimarães to Arsenal. Is it a yes? Is it a no? For the entirety of the show, I had a poll going on if you would take Bruno G at Arsenal. And no surprise, Gunner Sulz, 71%, over 249 votes saying that they would take Bruno G at Arsenal. Are you surprised by the resounding yes from the audience that they would take Bruno G at Arsenal?
I mean, look, he's highly, highly rated by a lot of Premier League fans and people who kind of just watch football in general. But like, for me, it's I don't know. I'm not sold on Bruno Guimarães. That's just me. But if the club want him, then I can trust him, because I backed the Havertz deal when a lot of people didn't understand it. If I don't understand the signing, I don't necessarily go against it. But for me, there's a few things I'm a bit wary of when it comes to Bruno G. But Arteta would have done his research. Edu and the scouts would have done what they needed to do to make sure that it's not going to be a concern when he comes to the club. But look, it is what it is. Like, for me, like, I have my concerns over the player, but I do think he has got qualities that can improve us.
Okay, what about people saying that he's overrated? He's nothing elite. Doesn't really take us over the edge. They would rather sign a Frankie De Jong or somebody else than Bruno G. Do you think they're wrong to think like that?
Just to say on Martin, I'm not insinuating, because what I said was, because the Lucas Paqueta situations happened, Bruno G, they're going to amplify Bruno G. It's not a case of they wanted both or wanted one. All I'm saying is that because they've now probably not going to be able to sign Paqueta because of the situation, they're going to go all out for Bruno G. It doesn't necessarily mean they didn't want him before. That's just to clarify that point. But yeah, on your point of like whether we go for like a Zubimendi's off the cards because he more admires Xabi Alonso. And one of Arsenal's transfer policies is you want us, you want us. If you don't, piss off. It's as simple as that. We don't go back in when you reject us. It's the same with Vlahovic. Like, as much as people have linked him again to Arsenal, we don't want to go in again, because if you want to disrespect the club, then you ain't going to come. As simple as that. When it comes to other transfers and what we're going to pivot away to, okay, so I'm quite close to the camp of Frankie de Jong, so I know a bit of what's going on there. He's going to be a very, very much so a 90% impossibility to happen, just because of the situation that Barcelona are in. He's got deferred wages that still need to be paid. But I just think from a player side, that's going to be a very difficult deal to get done. Now, when it comes to Barcelona, they're willing to hear offers of 80 million. They made that very, very clear. The package is up, that's up for negotiation, but they want a package totaling 80 million euros. Now, Arsenal, as far as I'm aware, have spoken to Barcelona execs about a deal for Frankie de Jong and have asked permissions to talk to him as well. But now, whether this deal happens or goes forward is all on the player. The Arsenal have all the information they need. They know the fee that Barcelona are demanding and what they will be accepting. Now, when you look at sort of his demeanor towards Arsenal, he has always admired what Arsenal have done due to the Dennis Bergkamp links, and he does admire what Arteta's building, the project that's going on.
Isn't he married to or partners with one of Dennis Bergkamp's daughters?
Yeah. So, but I don't think that would play a big factor. But in terms of like outside favourites of other than Barcelona, Arsenal have always been a club on his radar. Even before this, he admired us under Wenger. He's admired us, for the days of like, the sort of Bergkamp connections as well. So he's a possibility, but he's going to be a very difficult one. But I think this is going to be a kind of transfer which is going to have an ultimatum. They're going to go, like Arsenal are going to go to Frankie de Jong and say, like, what do you want? Are you coming? Are you not coming? And that's what it's going to come down to. If he says no, they'll just move on. I don't think this is going to be a long, drawn-out, like, let's just keep going in, let's try and give it. It's not going to be a Vlahovic situation where 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks into the window, we're still talking about him. It's going to be a case of first few weeks, we're going to find out what his intentions are, and if he's willing to, then cool, we'll bid. We know the conditions, we know the intentions, and that's it.
I'm sorry. Well, this guy, your statement. It appears to me that match fixing is worse than racism. If so, we are in a deluded world. Yeah, unfortunately, the implications of someone saying something racial to somebody only affects a small portion of people. But the reality is money talks. I hate the fact that that's how it is. But the reality is somebody says something racist, they're going to get maybe 2 or 3 games banned. Somebody does what? The match fixing or something that can affect the match, like Paqueta, it's a heavier punishment.
Hey, listen, look, children are dying, and if you say free Palestine, you're out the club. So look, money talks, money and sponsorships talk. We know they don't even care about a child's life who's dying. So let alone words. Like I'm not
even gonna get into it, but also,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like they don't really care about like people's lives. Let alone, like, I'm not putting like racial words as it doesn't matter category, but what I'm saying is they don't even care about people's lives who are dying, who are in genocides, who are being absolutely targeted. They don't care about that. So let alone words that affect certain individuals. Don't forget a lot of like not to put it into like a racial way, but a lot of these higher powers who run the world are all white. They don't care.
Why do you think El Neni got in trouble for posting something about thing? Remember, like club sponsors.
He done it for the Rohingya Muslims, however you say it, and it was Lavazza, the coffee company that Arsenal had a sponsorship tie with. They said that basically if he doesn't come out and apologize, if he doesn't, or you don't like, come to get rid of it.
It just goes to show you what I'm saying. This is why when I come out, I got to be politically correct. But the majority of these people, they don't care. Money talks. That's all it is.
Yeah, money talks. That's 100%.
That's how they are. And a lot of people, that's how they do their business.
Unfortunately, racism has like they'll do a campaign and then people forget. That's the problem.
You want to know something? The reality is people, the rich people benefit from racism.
Yeah, 100%. Because they'll do all. This is why I said that I don't even care for the Premier League's initiative to no racism, because it's a propaganda move. It's look at us. So you buy the merch.
You know something? You take 2 billionaires. You take 2 billionaires. Do you think they care about skin color? They don't care about skin color.
No. You know what? I'll tell you why I say it's a campaign and it's a propaganda as well, because midway through one of the seasons, right? The Premier League actually created a badge, which is the Premier League badge. Underneath it says no to racism. I've actually worn it on your streams a few times as well, and that was a mid-season release just to get people buying. So they don't care. I
I don't even want to get into all that. Long story short, if we can get Bruno Guimarães, Newcastle's going to have to fall out of the race, and we're going to have to get him for cheap. 75, 80 mil. But the likelihood of Man City paying...
It's going to be Man City, if we're being absolutely honest.
Yeah. If it's the pick between Arsenal and Man City, we did reject him in the past, so he's most likely going to go to...
Can I comment on this, just to move it away? So the 740k is actually a myth. So that is actually combined with his original wages that Arsenal pay him on his contractual obligation. On top of that is his deferred wages that they owe him split across his contract. So it's not actually 740k that he's getting paid, just to kind of clear that one up.
The Barcelona deferred wages with Frankie de Jong is something that people don't really know about, because the guy took 10% of his wages his first season due to COVID.
Yeah, so that's why, like, when people see these inflated wage numbers, it's not a case of that. Well, technically, that's what he's getting paid, but that's because of deferred wages. That's nothing to do with that's his contract.
Yeah, I've seen a graphic about it, but I can't find it right now. But Frankie de Jong's wages...
Yeah, he's owed like 20 million or something. It's crazy.
Yeah, Frankie de Jong's wages, if I'm not mistaken, he's like the highest paid player in Serie A, in La Liga history, because of the deferred wages thing, where he deferred his wages, and the way that he did it, the way they broke it down was pretty crazy. But yeah, he's the 10th highest paid player in La Liga history or something like that. Something crazy like that.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify, because that's 740 because of that. But if he is actually coming, let's say he does sign for Arsenal, he'll take like a 250, 300k. That's his actual contract.
Yeah, I'm just going to show you what it is here. I think somebody broke it down on this website. So as you can see here, he basically is supposed to get 16 million. Then he gets 24. But the first year, he didn't even take the full 6 million. He took like 5 million. This was his actual wages, what it was supposed to be.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. That's the reason why it looks inflated, because they've had to basically double his wages across a campaign of like 3 years or something.
Yeah, they and I don't think they even gave him the 307 the first year. That's why he was still fighting over wages. It's madness. Anyways, enough about that, guys. We've gone on for an hour and 16 minutes. This has been a great transfer show. This is episode 1 of Arsenal News today. Hopefully we do more of them. You guys have yourselves a wonderful day. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Gunner Sulz, thank you for joining me. Big up everyone in the show who's watched the show. Hopefully you guys enjoy it. And stay tuned, because we'll break it down similar to this whenever there's news. Hopefully, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to pile up some of the news so I don't just go live about 2 stories, 3 stories. But if there's something important, we'll go live. If there's nothing important, we'll wait, and we'll bring you all the information at once. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the stream, and we're out, guys. Gunner Sulz, big up to you, big up to the chat, and big up to the super chat for today. Kakafu in the building. Big up. Peace out, guys.